Okay, here we go. So make sure that you are annotating for the setting and your characters, main characters, and then any conflicts or situations that advance the plot. She was a large woman with a large purse that had everything in it but hammer and nails. It had a long strap, and she carried it slung across her shoulder. It was about 11 o'clock at night, and she was walking alone when a boy ran up behind her and tried to snatch her purse. The strap broke with a single tug to the boy. The strap broke with a single tug that the boy gave it from behind. But the boy's weight and the weight of the purse combined caused him to lose his balance, so instead of taking off full blast as he had hoped, the boy fell back on the sidewalk and his legs flew up. The large woman simply turned around and kicked him right square in his blue jean sitter. Then she reached down, picked the boy up by his shirt front, and shook him until his teeth rattled. So question number 1, what does the boy attempt to steal? A, a cell phone, B, a purse, or C, earrings? Number 2, what does Hughes mean when he says, shook him until his teeth rattled? So what is your interpretation of what that means? After that, the woman said, pick up my pocketbook, boy, and give it here. She still held him, but she bent down enough to permit him to stoop and pick up her purse. Then she said, now ain't you ashamed of yourself? Firmly gripped by his shirt front, the boy said, yes'm. The woman said, what did you want to do it for? The boy said, I didn't aim to. She said, you will lie. Number 3, what does the boy's intended victim do in response? A, she screams for help. B, she calls 911. Or C, she reprimands him. Number 4, what does the lady ask Roger to do after she kicks him in his sitter and picks him up by the shirt front? So what I want you to do is go back into the text here and find an actual quote that says what she did to him. So from the text. By that time, 2 or 3 people passed, stopped, and turned to look, and some stood watching. If I turn you loose, will you run? Asked the woman. Yes'm, said the boy. Then I won't turn you loose, said the woman. She did not release him. Question number 5. Why won't you turn the boy loose at this point of the story? Again, please answer with a quote from the text. Now, irony is when something happens that doesn't happen the way you would expect it to. So number 6 is, what is ironic about this situation between the woman and the boy? I'm very sorry, lady. I'm sorry, whispered the boy. Uh-huh, and your face is dirty. I got a great mind to wash your face for you. Ain't you got nobody home to tell you to wash your face? No, said the boy. Then it will get washed this evening, said the large woman, starting up the street, dragging the frightened boy behind her. Number 7. What does Mrs. Jones threaten to do after Roger apologizes to her? Answer using a quote from the text. He looked as if he were 14 or 15, frail and willow wild in tennis shoes and blue jeans. Number 8, willow wild is a term created by Langston Hughes to highlight exactly how frail, thin, and wild-looking this boy is. In this context, what type of figurative language is willow wild? Is it a simile, a metaphor, hyperbole, or personification? The woman said, you ought to be my son. I would teach you right from wrong. Least I can do right now is to wash your face. Are you hungry? No, said the being dragged boy. I just want you to turn me loose. Was I bothering you when I turned that corner? Asked the woman. No, but you put yourself in contact with me, said the woman. If you think that contact is not going to last for a while, you got another thought coming. When I get through with you, sir, you are going to remember Mrs. Luella Bates Washington Jones. Sweat popped out on the boy's face and he began to struggle. Mrs. Jones stopped, jerked him around in front of her, put a half Nelson around his neck, and continued to drag him up the street. When she got to her door, she dragged the boy inside, down a hall, and into a large kitchenette furnished room at the rear of the house. She switched on the light at the left and left the door open. The boy could hear other roomers laughing and talking in the large house. Some of their doors were open too, so he knew he and the woman were not alone. The woman still had him by the neck in the middle of the room. She said, what's your name? Roger, answered the boy. Then, Roger, you go to that sink and wash your face, said the woman, whereupon she turned him loose at last. Roger looked at the door, looked at the woman, looked at the door, and went to the sink. Let the water run until it gets warm, she said. Here's a clean towel. You going to take me to jail? Asked the boy, bending over the sink. Not with that face. I would not take you nowhere, said the woman. Here I am trying to get home to cook me a bite to eat, and you snatch my pocketbook. Maybe you ain't been to your supper either, late as it be, have you? There's nobody home at my house, said the boy. Then we'll eat, said the woman. I believe you're hungry, or been hungry, or try to snatch my pocketbook. I want a pair of blue suede shoes, said the boy. Well, you didn't have to snatch my pocketbook to get some suede shoes, said Mrs. Luella Bates Washington Jones. You could have asked me. Ma'am? Number 9. After the boy agrees to do what Mrs. Jones instructs him to do, what does he ask? A, are you going to tell my parents about this? B, you're going to take me to jail? Or C, you're going to let me go home after this? Number 10. Why does Roger say he tried to steal the purse? Answer with a quote from the text. Number 11. What is Mrs. Jones' ironic response to Roger's answer? Again, use a quote from the text. The water dripping from his face, the boy looked at her. There was a long pause, a very long pause. After he had dried his face and not knowing what else to do, dried it again. The boy turned around, wondering what next. The door was open. He could make a dash for it down the hall. He could run, 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 run. The woman was sitting on the daybed. After a while, she said, I were young once, and I wanted things I could not get. There was another long pause. The boy's mouth opened. Then he frowned, but not knowing he frowned. Number 12. Why do you think Mrs. Jones would be so nice to a boy who tried to do her wrong? Use a quote from the text to answer the question. The woman said, you thought I was going to say, but didn't you? You thought I was going to say, but I didn't snatch people's pocketbooks. Well, I wasn't going to say that. Pause, silence. I have done things too, which I would not tell you, son, neither tell God if you didn't already know. So you sit down while I fix us something to eat. You might run that comb through your hair so you look presentable. Number 13, read the paragraph above. What does this section tell you about Mrs. Jones? In another corner of the room behind the screen was a gas plate and an icebox. Mrs. Jones got up and went behind the screen. The woman did not watch the boy to see if he was going to run now, nor did she watch her purse, which she left behind her on the daybed. But the boy took care to sit on the far side of the room where he thought she could easily see him out of the corner of her eye, if she wanted to. He did not trust the woman not to trust him, and he did not want to be mistrusted now. Number 14. As Mrs. Jones prepares a meal, the boy chooses to stay on the far side of the room. Why? A, he wants her to trust him. B, he's afraid of her and wants to stay as far away as possible. C, he's debating whether to run off, and this action makes for the easiest getaway. Do you need somebody to go to the store? Asked the boy, maybe to get some milk or something. Don't believe I do, said the woman, unless you just want sweet milk yourself. I was going to make cocoa out of the canned milk I got you. That will be fine, said the boy. She heated some lima beans and ham she had in the icebox, made the cocoa, and then set the table. The woman did not ask the boy anything about where he lived, or his folks, or anything else that would embarrass him. Instead, as they ate, she told him about her job in a hotel beauty shop that stayed open late, what the work was like, and how all kinds of women came in and out, blondes, redheads, and Spanish. Then she cut him half of her 10-cent cake. Eat some more, son, she said. When they were finished eating, she got up and said, now here, take this $10 and buy yourself some blue suede shoes. And next time, do not make the mistake of latching onto my pocketbook nor anybody else's. Because shoes come by devilish like that will burn your feet. I gotta get my rest now, but I wish you would have behaved yourself, son, from here on in. Number 15. How does Mrs. Jones shock the boy at the end of the answer? Answer with a quote from the text. Number 16. Highlight the figurative language in this paragraph above, and then explain the purpose of the metaphor. She led him down the hall to the front and opened it. Good night, behave yourself, boy, she said, looking out onto the street. The boy wanted to say something else other than, thank you, ma'am, to Mrs. Luella Bates Washington Jones, but he couldn't do so as he turned at the barren stoop and looked back at the large woman in the door. He barely managed to say thank you before she shut the door, and he never saw her again. Number 17, highlight the boy's last words to Mrs. Jones. Number 18, what does Mrs. Jones wish for at the end of the story? A, that the boy will never try to steal from her again. B, that the boy will behave from now on. Or C, that the boy will be her son. All right, guys, if you need to rewind or go back to any part to add your answers, please do so, and I will meet with you soon to go over these.